Australia's incredible economic rebound has helped the government project a smaller deficit for 2021-22 of $106.7 billion. The budget deficit is expected to gradually decline over the next few years. But large deficits will remain a feature as the focus remains on rebuilding the economy. However, this is necessary and we can afford it. The uneven shape of the economic recovery and the uncertainty over the outlook means the government needs to ensure that the recovery is sustained. It is too early to consider budget repair. Indeed, the economy is a lot like a patient. The economy has been in ICU at the height of the crisis last year, and in the second half of last year, the patient moved to the recovery ward. Now, the best way to get the patient to rehab and discharged home is by continuing with the spending injections. In other words, to keep the economy recovery alive and kicking, the government needs to keep its foot on the accelerator. In this way, more jobs are created, which helps lift consumer spending and the demand for goods and services that businesses produce. Economic activity is propelled forward through this virtuous cycle. In this year's budget, the main way the government aims to propel the recovery is by extending the temporary tax incentives to businesses it announced last year. These are the loss carryback scheme and the full expensing measures. Indeed, businesses were among the biggest winners from tonight's federal budget. The extension of these measures helps businesses boost their cash flows and spur businesses to spend. Job growth should follow. The tax initiatives do not stop there. The government is extending the low to middle income tax offset for another year, which delivers personal income tax cuts to households. This should help bolster consumer spending and activity. So too should the strong infrastructure spending program. On economic activity, the government anticipates data will show that the economy returned to above pre-pandemic levels in early this year. For the coming financial year of 2021-22, the economy is forecast to grow at a solid pace of 4.25%, before slowing to a more moderate rate in 2022-2023. Both growth forecasts are softer than our own predictions. The government's forecasts for iron ore are also weaker than our own forecasts. Iron ore prices are expected by the government to fall to $55 a tonne early next year, after recently piercing $200 a tonne. The government's conservative forecast for both economic growth and iron ore means there is a good chance the government's bottom line will turn out better than forecast, a bit like a hollow log. The unemployment rate might also beat the government's expectations. The government has outlined a fall in the unemployment rate to 4.5% in mid-2023, but the Reserve Bank expects that level to be reached sooner, as do we. Rebuilding the economy and creating jobs were among the core themes in this year's budget, as was protecting Australia from COVID-19. There was another theme that was widely anticipated in the lead up to the budget. It was spending on women's issues. The budget contained a package supporting the safety and economic security of women, and it is a welcome step in the right direction. However, we would have liked to have seen more spending measures towards helping bolster access to capital for female startups and scale-ups. Our research shows that access to capital is one of the biggest obstacles facing women when starting or running a business. Another obstacle often facing women is the lack of sufficient retirement savings due to the different work patterns of women that include career breaks. Lifting female participation in the workforce helps. The additional $1.7 billion in spending on childcare announced in this year's budget will also assist. But there is more work to be done, and not just by the government.